Welcome to Psydactic, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Edition. I am the creator and curator of this podcast, Dr. O'Leary, but you can call me Ryan. I create this podcast as a way to help me study for my upcoming board exams in child and adolescent psychiatry, but anyone interested in child development and psychiatry should be able to benefit. After producing about 25 episodes here, and having other things to do in my life, I found it overwhelming. Initially, I had resisted having AI create entire episodes for me, with a few exceptions, but AI has come a long way, and I have learned much better how to feed it and prompt it so that I get a quality product from it. Going forward, I'm going to be using AI more and more to produce material, giving it high-quality inputs, and then I'm going to curate the outputs, edit them, and drop them here for you to enjoy. You can rest assured, or not rest assured, but still know that a human did not just write and prompt and then drop the slop here. I'm doing my best to be a conscientious curator. Today we're going to be covering primitive reflexes and motor development from infancy until toddlerhood. What are the important things to know, for psychiatry boards especially, about how kids learn how to do things? So without further ado, here are your AI hosts.
You know, usually when we look at like a new piece of tech, we expect a blank slate. You turn it on and you're in control.
Right, but human babies are entirely different. They come preloaded with these intense involuntary programs.
Exactly. And today's deep dive is really mapping out that wild journey. So let's start with those preloaded programs. I like to think of primitive reflexes as the central nervous system's factory default settings.
I mean, they keep the infant alive until the frontal lobe is mature enough to take the wheel.
Right. We're talking about the Moro startle, or that classic fencing posture.
And the trick isn't just knowing if those exist. It's really about tracking when they vanish.
Because the frontal lobe actively suppresses them.
Exactly. Yeah. If the Moro or ATNR doesn't fade by, say, 6 to 7 months, you can't just write it off as a quirk.
You have to start ruling out central nervous system pathology, like spastic cerebral palsy.
Right. You have to be vigilant.
But wait, I'm trying to visualize the actual mechanism there. Like, how does the brain physically turn off a reflex?
Well, take the Babinski reflex.
The upward fanning of the toes when you stroke the sole of the foot?
Yeah, that one. If you see that in a 1-month-old, fine.
But if it's still happening at 18 months, is the frontal lobe just weak?
It's actually more about insulation. The corticospinal tract isn't fully myelinated at birth.
Oh, so as that myelin sheath develops, it acts like electrical insulation.
You got it. It speeds up the brain signals so the upper motor neurons can effectively hit the brakes on that lower reflex.
Wow, okay.
So if Babinski persists past 12 months, the insulation or the signal itself is compromised. That's a major upper motor neuron red flag.
So the insulation thickens, the frontal lobe hits the brakes on the reflexes, and that clears the way for intentional movement.
Yes, and looking at the clinical guidelines, this happens in a sweep across the body.
Right, the proximodistal rule, midline to lateral, meaning you develop core stability before limb dexterity.
Precisely. Distal mobility requires proximal stability.
I was reading this and it struck me. Does this mean a baby physically cannot pick up a Cheerio until they've stabilized their own shoulders and arms?
That is the mechanical prerequisite, yeah.
Yeah.
If you try to move your fingers precisely while your shoulder is wobbling.
It's just chaotic. Like their hands are basically offline until the core boots up.
Exactly. And zooming in on the hand itself, we see the same process. You have that famous baby death grip.
Oh, yeah, the involuntary palmar grasp.
Yeah.
You touch the palm, they squeeze. I always assumed they just really wanted to hold my hand.
Most people do, but it's really just a reflex. And once that fades around 6 months, they start doing that awkward raking motion.
Right, trying to drag objects over. It feels like a huge leap to go from that clumsy rake to the holy grail of milestones, the mature pincer grasp at 12 months.
It is a massive leap. I mean, they are isolating the pad of the thumb and the index finger.
It requires suppressing the rest of the hand's urge to curl and applying exact pressure,
which unlocks their ability to actually manipulate the world.
And this is where the board exams obsess over block stacking. I initially thought block stacking was just a test of hand strength.
A lot of people think that. But at 15 months, they can stack 2 blocks, and by 18 months, they hit 3 or 4.
So it's actually a test of visual motor integration, isn't it?
Yes. The brain is finally syncing visual input with precise motor output. Building an 8 to 10 block tower by age 3 isn't about finger strength.
It's about spatial awareness. They have to understand gravity, balance, and visually map where the next block goes.
While manually placing it, yeah.
That spatial mapping totally explains the drawing milestones, too. I always wondered why a 3-year-old can draw a circle, but they can't draw a square until they're 4.
Right. A square just seems like 4 straight lines.
Yeah, it seems so simple.
But think about the mechanics. A circle is a continuous sweeping motion.
Whereas a square requires you to draw a line, visually anticipate the corner, physically break your hand.
Pivot 90 degrees and restart. That requires immense cognitive and motor inhibition.
Breaking and pivoting. That makes so much sense. And by 4, they're not just drawing crosses and squares, they're using scissors.
Which, from an evolutionary standpoint, giving a 4-year-old scissors seems terrifying.
Totally terrifying. But clinically, it's a masterpiece of intentional geometric planning.
Exactly. It's an incredibly predictable mechanical journey from a brainstem-driven startle at birth to a frontal lobe-directed artist with scissors at 4.
Just amazing. Gaining control by suppressing the primitive.
Yeah, that's the core takeaway here.
This has been an episode of Psydactic, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Edition. Nothing in this podcast should be considered personal, medical, or mental health advice.